the fifth part of the course, and now we're focusing on academic writing skills. As a university student, you will be required to be able to use APA referencing style, but also you should be able to understand the proper referencing system and be exposed to strategies that can avoid plagiarism and be aware of the risk of plagiarizing in academic setting. But also this lecture aims to expose you to various sources of information that can be useful to construct knowledge. You will also be exposed to identifying and analyze multiple sources of information. Okay. Now let's look at what is academic writing. Academic writing follows a particular tone and adheres to traditional conventions of punctuations, grammar, and spelling. So academic writing basically gives us agreed guidelines that guide people in the academic field, the academician, to be able to produce acceptable text in the field. It deals with the underlying theories and causes governing processes and practices in everyday life, as well as exploring alternative explanation for these events. So with the academic writing, that's where we'll be able to learn on different ways that can guide the writers or the academician so that they are in position to produce texts that are acceptable. We'll look at the referencing. Now, with referencing skills. Referencing skills involves making references in the text, within the text that is in text citation. A citation is a reference to a published or unpublished source or material, but always the original. Okay, so we have a biographic citation, which is a reference to a book, an article, webpage, or other published items. Now, what is the difference between the referencing and the citation? Because these are terminologies that you will be encountering now and then during your lifetime at the university. A significant difference between academic writing and other writing genre is based on the citation and referencing of published authors. You will note that when we were talking about letters and CV and the other texts, we did not refer to issues of referencing and citation. But now, when we come into this academic writing, we will be talking about referencing and proper referencing, and then you shouldn't use someone's words without acknowledgement. You shouldn't use someone's words without directly, without paraphrasing or summarizing, likely due to plagiarism. So you will be cautioned of so many issues as far as the academic writing is concerned. This shows you how sensitive academic writing is, and this is the industry that you find yourself in, and so you've got to learn and be keen when you try to produce and write an academic text. So citing the work of others, of other authors, is central to academic writing. It's very, very important that when you use some other people's work, it's very, very important in the academic field that you acknowledge the source. It's always good to read the literature, understood the idea, and have integrated these issues and varying perspectives into the assignment task. you will always encourage you to do the summary. We will encourage you to do the paraphrasing in order to be able to avoid taking direct words from other people's work. Okay, so we'll be exposed to different types, different kinds of referencing style, but very importantly and particularly, we will focus on the APA, the American Psychological Association. It is a referencing system used in psychology. It is the system used in education and some social sciences, as well as it is used in the field of business. And it is the system of referencing that is adopted at the Open University of Tanzania, and it's the particular referencing system that we use, and we encourage students also to adopt the same. So each and every referencing style has their own a unique way of presentation and requirement to abide to their principles, reading principles. And as far as EPA is concerned, the in-text citation contains the basic information about the source, the source's authors, the year of publication, the page number sometimes. Okay, so that's where you find, and the reference list contains more detailed information. They contain more detailed information about the source, the title, publishing details, and so forth. An in-text citation is needed whenever used information, ideas, concepts, or facts from another source. So you will have to use an in-text citation when you use information from another source, ideas or concept from another source or different authors. If you have paraphrased, summarized, or quoted another author, you should also use in-text citation. For example, you should be able to say, according to Prosper, academic writing is a systematic way of writing abiding to principles and guidelines that are agreed amongst academicians. Okay, if you read my book and you use the idea, the concept, and facts, and then you should be in position to acknowledge. Short of that, if you do not acknowledge the source, the idea of other authors, then you are likely to plagiarize. You are likely to get into offense or committing offense or stealing other people's ideas, an offense. Okay, so you should be able to try your best that every time when you summarize, you paraphrase, you take direct words from other people's work, you should be in position to acknowledge and make sure that in-text referencing is done, and then at the end of the document, you should have the reference list. Okay, so as I said, that the OUT referencing style, the university adopts the APA referencing style, so you need to make referencing part and parcel of your academic writing. It might be tiresome, it might be taking a lot of your time, but it's very, very important that you take time to understand, to learn on how you reference using the APA style in various documents appropriately, so that when you produce document, you are able to produce the document that is acceptable and free from plagiarism. So the reference should be arranged according to APA style. The references should be arranged alphabetically by authors, or authors' surname and initials should be included. Okay, and the journal volume numbers, the issue, only if the pagination starts afresh in each issue consent. So there are there are so many issues as far as referencing is concerned, but what is important is to make sure that you revise your handout and make sure you become conversant with the referencing style, and we can always interact on our Moodle platform, but also we can chat, email each other in case we face some kind of difficulties. But also there is APA referencing style guide online, so you can access the handout and learn on how you reference the article, how do you reference the book, how do you reference the thesis, published and unpublished materials, and be able to cope. So those are some of the examples. The first one is the book, the second one is the journal article, and then the third one is the thesis. One of the student who pursued MBA at the Open University of Tanzania. So those are there's some ethics in writing references. So don't forget, don't miss out the full stop, the commas, they all have a significance in making up the complete and acceptable use of the referencing style. Okay, then from there, let's look at the things that can help us to be able to produce an academic text that is free from plagiarism and getting direct content from other people's books, journal article, and so forth. Now, what is plagiarism? Okay. In an institution's settings, plagiarism is a multifaceted and ethically complex problem. This is really a very burning issue at the university. The issue of people copying from one another, people copying from the internet directly without acknowledging the source, you know. Now, plagiarism, that's why we need to understand this issue of plagiarism, so that now we've got strategies that will help us to overcome plagiarism. Stealing, plagiarizing, which means you're stealing other people's work. You create an offense. You become a criminal by copying in academic forum arena. You become a criminal by copying someone's work, whether it's one word or it's a phrase or a couple of sentences or text. So it's very important that we understand on how we can minimize the level of plagiarism, or we can overcome the problem of student plagiarizing and sometimes academician as well plagiarizing and copying direct content from others. Now, one of the strategies to overcome this is paraphrasing, a way of presenting a text keeping the same meaning but using different words and a phrasing. So we paraphrase your text, so we get your idea, we get your message and everything, but at the end of the day, we have different words and phrasing, but we must acknowledge that this source of information was taken from the text that was written by Prosper 2018. Paraphrasing is used with short sections of the text such as phrases and sentences. It's very useful. And paraphrasing is also used skill for making notes from reading, note-taking, a lecture, and explaining information in tables, charts, and diagrams. So I've taught you in previous lectures about note-taking, okay? Writing skills, reading skills, because I know that these are the issues that you'll be exposed to at the university. And so it's very important when you do the note-taking, it helps you to overcome being trapped into plagiarism. You know, when you do the summary and so forth. So how do you paraphrase? Identify the main and the keywords. cover the original text and rewrite in your own words. Always try to grasp the main idea of the text and put it in your own words. Check that you have included the main point and the essential information. If it's the book, then make sure get the main point, the main content of the author, the original idea of the author, and then put it in your own words. Now, at the end of the day, you should be able to acknowledge by doing the in-text citation. Write the paraphrase in your own style. You don't have to get someone's style to be able to produce the paraphrased text. The minute you begin to write, the minute you begin to want to write like someone else, that's the starting point of stealing from other people's work. And this time around, we got software, and the university also purchased the software of Citation that helps us to run and check the level of plagiarism. But you do not have to have certain that the software will test your work. But what is important, you have to set it in your mindset that it is always a crime when you attempt to take someone else's text and make it and treat it as your own words, and legalize it as your own words while you copy some other people's ideas. Another strategy to avoid plagiarism is summarizing. Summarizing is also another skill for making notes from reading and writing in summary, in abstract. A summary is an overview of the text. So it's very, very important that you see how you can do the summary effectively so that you are able to produce the text of your own words and not some other people's words, treating them as your own. So how to summarize, how to do summary. Start by reading a short text and highlight the main points as you read. And then as you go along, you'll be able to expand on those different points in your own words. Reread the text and make notes of the main points, leaving out examples, evidences, etc. You try to contextualize the text in your own case, so that at the end of the day, you have your notes, you rewrite the notes in your own words, and restate the main idea at the beginning plus all the major points. So if it's done in a proper way, at the end of the day, you are able to produce a very strong academic text, and it can be academic sound text. So we've got various steps involved in writing process. As I said in the previous lectures, that writing is a process. It involves various processes. You say we have the pre-writing stage, writing stage, revising or editing, and a proofreading stage. What I'm trying to bring to you in this lecture is to have a better understanding that writing is a complex process, and in academic writing is another complex process which requires to abide to various principles so that at the end you've got to produce a very sound and an academic text. It might take a bit of time, but with time, slowly you will have to acquire different skills that they will help you throughout your career. And so you should be prepared, and don't think that writing is just taking a few minutes and write and produce a text. That cannot happen with academic writing. So it is a process. Now, in order to avoid the so-called plagiarism, we have to be exposed or to expose ourselves to sources of information. We have various sources of information and ways of acquiring information. We have life experiences. You know, in everyday life, we've got so many things that we learn from each other and expose into different issues. Studying and learning, observation, listening, and debating, experimentation and research, lectures, seminars, workshops, and so many ways we accumulate information. Many activities that we're exposed to every day in everyday life. So So we will go to digital source of information, such as the internet is our master, a mother of the source of the information that we access in the digital way. The internet is composed of many interconnected computer networks. Each network may link to 10 to 100 or even thousands of computers, enabling them to share information and processing power. The internet has brought new opportunities to education. So for the institution, internet is being used for research to deliver online courses. For example, at this particular university, we use the internet for almost every operation of this university. We have online examination, we have teaching and learning through the Moodle platform, we have the video conferencing, and so we depend on the internet on everything, the emailing system, the way of communication, interaction, everything is being facilitated by the internet. So that's why I say the internet actually is the mother of higher learning institution and its main facilitator of all teaching and learning activities at the university. There's no way that we can abandon the internet. When we abandon the internet, then which means we abandon the higher education, because it will be very difficult to deliver education. And so through using the use of internet with various search engines that might be useful for you through your career, that might be useful for you to search various information that might be useful for different topics that you need to understand more or to write on. And so you can find a lot of those and many of others that were not included there that are based on educational resources. Okay, and you can also visit your librarian, the nearest regional center. They can also help you on how you can manipulate and use the OPAC, the online catalog, where you are able to also access many online resources that might be useful in your relevant course. I assure you that a lot of information can be found through search engines and many other sources that are found online. So don't fear of technology, because technology makes your life easier. That's why you can study while you're at work, you can study while you're at home, anywhere you find yourself around the world, you can access and get information. So don't be fooled around and think that, you know what, I expect to get everything from the lecturer. Actually, the lecturer also is getting everything from the student these days because of this advanced science and technology that we are working and moving with the information at our hand, and we can access it at any time and that's the role of communication, that to make sure that everything is easily facilitated. So the internet is doing quite a good job for us. It makes life easier as far as teaching and learning is concerned. So the internet plays different roles, as I already explained. And as we conclude in this lecture, the good question that you take to you is, what are the basic internet services? What are the basic internet services? You actually maybe find yourself using many of those internet services, but maybe you don't know if they're internet services. So your assignment is to find out what are those basic internet services. You must also one of them may be to help you access education. I don't know. You can also think about it. You can read those about it, but in your handout. But also you can discuss in your group. From that note, thank you so much, and this leads me to expose you to the next lecture on grammar, and that will be my final part of this course. I thank you so much for listening.